Welcome to the module, Building Relationships with Students. We value your time and appreciate your active participation during this module. Here are a few suggested learning norms to make the most of your time. If possible, work in an environment with as few distractions as possible so you can engage and reflect. Take notes and jot down ideas and questions as needed. Lastly, use this time wisely to ensure your professional learning with university instructors is productive. Here's the agenda for this module. Benefits of building relationships in classroom environments, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, strategies for building relationships and positive classroom culture, activities to support relationships and culture, and finally a summary of learning. By the end of the module, participants will be able to understand why building student relationships and positive classroom environments are essential to academic and social emotional success, recognize basic human needs and how they contribute to learning, and implement strategies and activities for building relationships and culture. It's always important to discuss the why before we launch into the what and how. You might be wondering, why do I, as an instructor, need to spend time getting to know my students? My job is to teach the content, not make friends. It's imperative that instructors understand how essential relationships are to the success of a student. This point cannot be overstated. Students will accomplish so much more when they have an instructor that they trust and that genuinely cares about them. That does not mean you need to be their friend. It just means they need to know that they are safe, valued, and respected. So what are the outcomes of investing time in establishing relationships, and what impact do relationships have on student learning? Let's discuss benefits of building rapport with your students. Students will experience academic and social emotional benefits when they have a positive relationship with an instructor, and conversely, instructors will have more success with teaching and managing students when mutual trust and understanding are established. Academically, students who feel cared for by the instructor will increase engagement and motivation. When students feel connected to their instructors, they are more likely to be engaged in learning and motivated to participate in class, leading to better academic outcomes. They will improve performance. Positive relationships create a safe space for students to take risks, ask questions, and seek help when needed, ultimately contributing to improved academic performance. And finally, they will show a reduction in behavioral problems. When students feel respected and valued, they are less likely to exhibit behavioral issues in the classroom. Additionally, students grow in their social emotional health when they feel appreciated and valued by their instructors. Benefits include enhanced self-esteem and confidence. Positive relationships help students develop a sense of self-worth and confidence, which improves their mental health and well-being. A sense of belonging and connection. Strong relationships foster a sense of belonging and connection within the classroom, making students feel more comfortable and supported. Improved social skills. Interacting positively with instructors and peers helps students develop essential social skills, including communication, empathy, and cooperation. And finally, emotional resilience. Having a trusting relationship with an instructor can provide a buffer against stress and adversity, helping students build emotional resilience. It is the instructor's responsibility to create relationships where students can be successful academically and emotionally. But what about the rest of the classroom culture? Is it beneficial if students have a positive relationship with the instructor, but have to learn in an environment of judgment and hostility? Obviously, the answer is no. Students also need a positive learning environment in order to be successful. Relationships need to be accompanied by a positive classroom culture. Having rapport with the instructor is necessary, but it needs to exist in an environment that is inclusive, safe, and supportive. Components of a positive classroom culture include open and effective communication between instructors and students, allowing for honest feedback and guidance. Freedom for students to be themselves and take risks without judgment or ridicule. Respect, empathy, and trust from instructors and peers. And role modeling by the instructor to consistently reinforce expectations for the positive classroom culture. One idea for establishing a productive culture is to create classroom values with the students. Allow them to contribute their ideas to the culture they wish to establish, and then post those in the classroom as reference and reminders. Let's watch the following video clip and identify examples of the academic and social emotional benefits and classroom culture components shared in this module so far. How can you plan to include some of these strategies in your classroom and with your students?
You had so much to offer yesterday. You okay?
I'm tired.
So what's going on?
Strong relationships are central to the learning process. What the science of learning and development tells us is that we need to create learning environments which allow for strong long-term relationships for children to become attached to school and to the adults and other children in it.
When children have experiences of closeness and consistency and trust, oxytocin is released. Oxytocin has many, many positive effects on the development of the brain. So when we think about a relationship, we're not just talking about being nice to a child. We're talking about a child having an experience of attunement and trust strong enough to release the hormone oxytocin.
Good morning, Ariella. How you doing today?
The purpose of the morning greeting is to connect with them and to just make sure that I'm seeing them as humans. Like I'm making that relationship with them, making that bond.
I prioritize relationship building because getting to know them is the best part of the job.
When I come in the morning, we usually talk about things that are happening in our community.
We're trying to build caring and respect.
The teacher is trying to understand who I am and my values as a person.
When I have a free 45 minutes or an hour, I think to myself, I could sit down and catch up on grading, or I could go and make connections, whether it's a smile or a joke or a reminder. It validates their presence in the building.
Rock it out in the art room. It starts from so much honesty and transparency with kids. It's really easy to strive to be this like idealized, always ready to go elementary school teacher, and that's not real and that's not human. When people start talking about other things while I'm still giving directions, it feels frustrating for me and I have to take a breath. My students connect most with me when they see that I also struggle and I also have challenges. It takes a lot of vulnerability on my part.
Total familiarity.
When that student knows that you care about them, when they know that you're a human,
Let's think about that.
their academic performance in your class is going to be better.
If I'm comfortable around them, then I'm more confident around them, and it's easier to ask questions and things like that.
So when you're looking at this graph, what is it that you think happened?
Some teachers I don't always get along with the best, so then sometimes I'm like, I can't do it, so I'm just not gonna do it. But when I like the teacher, I want to do their work. I'll be like, I can learn this.
You all have done outstanding work.
Emotion and learning are completely connected. If you're in a positive emotional space, if you feel good about yourself, your teacher, that actually opens up the opportunity for more learning.
Good to see.
Some of the benefits and components discussed in the video included motivation, confidence, trust, connections, value, honesty, respect, empathy, role modeling, and acceptance. Building positive relationships and establishing a productive classroom culture are crucial for fostering student success. Strong student-instructor relationships promote student engagement, motivation, and academic achievement, while also contributing to a positive classroom culture and improved mental health. Before we discuss strategies for building relationships and classroom culture, it's important for instructors to understand the basic human needs essential for learning and life. Relationship building is more than just a friendly smile, asking how a student's day is going, or giving them praise for a good answer. Sometimes, as instructors, it also means understanding a student's home life, situation, or past. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a theory in psychology that explains human motivation through a hierarchical structure of 5 levels of needs. If students' base level needs are not being met, then they will struggle or fail to reach the higher levels. Understanding this hierarchy will help instructors establish stronger rapport with students and better support their academic and social emotional growth. The most basic of needs for any human is food, water, shelter, and sleep. If we are hungry, tired, or dehydrated, our willpower weakens, as does our ability to be patient, talk respectfully, and follow the rules, which negatively influences behavior and ultimately learning. Unfulfilled physical needs will not always explain a student's behavior, but it is the first place to begin when considering why a student is acting out. When our basic physical and safety needs are unmet, we will struggle to be concerned with anything else, including social interactions, learning, and behaving. After physical needs, humans need love, belonging, and safety. A student may not receive love or feel a sense of belonging at home, or they may live in a situation that is unsafe, such as with an abusive parent, in a dangerous neighborhood, or they could be homeless. If a student does not have these basic needs at home, they will either seek it at school, or will shut down, or rebel without it. You cannot control what happens or does not happen at home, but you can build a loving, belonging, and safe classroom where students can excel. Finally, the highest 2 levels, esteem and contributing, can also be enhanced and developed with positive relationships and productive classrooms, but only after the first 3 are met. This psychological understanding of basic human needs can help instructors empathize with students and provide the support needed at school that will help them succeed in life. So how do we build relationships and classroom culture starting with day 1? Let's review how we accomplish this with strategies and activities for implementation. By implementing these 4 strategies, educators can begin cultivating strong, positive relationships with their students and create supportive and engaging learning environments that promote both academic and personal growth. The strategies are: get to know students individually, show genuine care and concern, create a welcoming environment, and foster open communication and trust. The first strategy is getting to know each student individually. This is challenging sometimes as a secondary instructor who can teach more than 100 students over the course of a day, but as we have learned, taking the time to know each one is essential to their success. Obviously, you can hold one-on-one conversations with students, but you can also learn about them through a survey, an interest inventory, or by asking them to respond to journal prompts. Tread lightly in the beginning, as you do not want to pry too deeply at first or make a student feel uncomfortable with sharing. So start with simple surface level questions like, what are your hobbies? What's your favorite subject and which one is the most challenging? Do you have any siblings or pets? And so on. Keep note of what you learn about each student so you can reference those details as needed and use them to fully engage with the individual students on a personal level. Remember, they do not know or trust you just yet, so they will be guarded at first until they feel safer sharing. Here are some suggestions for icebreaker activities that instructors can use to not only get to know their students individually, but also help build an inclusive classroom culture. The first is Would You Rather, where the instructor, or students depending on their age and grade, pose a 2-choice question to which the student responds, such as, would you rather own a cat or dog? The second idea is Getting to Know You Bingo, where you create a bingo card with items that might describe students in your class. For example, it can be as simple as has gone to camp or loves peanut butter and jelly for little kids, to has competed in a statewide event or plans to go to college for older kids. When students relate to one another, sometimes with someone they've never met before or didn't realize they shared something in common, then they start to build connections, just like they do with you. This will eventually help build acceptance and belonging, which contributes to the classroom culture and is essential for their academic and social emotional success. Remember that there's a chance your students know one another if they've grown up going to the same school or the same classes, so include yourself in any getting to know you activities. A couple more ideas for icebreakers are 2 truths and a lie. A student shares 3 facts about themselves, but one is actually a lie and the others have to guess the lie. Finally, students could share their favorite music or song, and the instructor can create a classroom playlist. Any of these suggestions can be modified according to student age or grade level. Just make sure you have them write answers down or give them something you can collect so you can remember details about individual students as you continue to build relationships. Take a moment to pause this module and make plans for how you will get to know your students initially or more than you already do. Plan to use strategies shared here or find some of your own. Just make sure that you prepare to collect student responses and that you plan your own responses so students can get to know you too. The next strategy is showing genuine care and concern. When students see you demonstrating empathy, giving respect, or showing kindness, then they understand what you mean when they're asked to do the same. Students are watching and listening even when you don't realize it, so try to avoid the do as I say, not as I do, by exhibiting the behaviors you wish to see in them. Students also know when you are being disingenuous, so model authentic care and concern for others by offering encouragement when they are faced with challenges or providing resources that help them overcome obstacles. How can we show care and concern other than in the moment? The 2x10 activity is a quick practice to help build relationships with any student, but especially those who are hard to reach. Develop a system in which you build in time to spend 2 minutes getting to know a student, such as before or after class, during breaks, or when there is less direct instruction. Use data to identify which students you will use this strategy with, as well as a way to progress monitor the impact of this intervention. Conversations should be casual and centered on the student's interests in order for the strategy to be effective. Students who exhibit challenging behavior may be attempting to communicate a need for trust and connection. Giving non-contingent time and attention to an individual student can build the foundation of a trusting relationship, and by modeling this activity, other students witness your genuine care and concern. Let's apply what you've learned to a real-world scenario. Caleb is failing your class. You overheard other teachers saying that his parents were going through a divorce. You too experienced divorce at his age, but you didn't let it stop you from succeeding in school, so you expect the same from Caleb. After class the next day, you confront Caleb about his grades. He confides that he's struggling to complete schoolwork because his parents are always arguing and he can't sleep. He knows he's falling behind, which is also impacting his eligibility to play on the baseball team, and that's causing stress and anxiety. You tell him that his parents' problems are not an excuse for missing assignments and suggest he goes to bed earlier. With that, you dismiss him and make a note to share his poor grades with his baseball coach. How could this instructor have handled this differently to better support Caleb's academic and social emotional success? The instructor missed several opportunities to build a better relationship with Caleb. First of all, the instructor could have shown empathy, having experienced divorce as a kid too. This was an opportunity to say, I understand because my parents divorced when I was your age too, and I know how upsetting that can be as we all want our parents to get along and stay together. Secondly, Caleb confided that he's not sleeping, and the instructor should know that getting sufficient rest is one of Maslow's foundational human needs. This would explain another reason for Caleb struggling academically, and a reason for the instructor to consult a counselor or administrator for additional support. Next, the instructor could show respect by acknowledging Caleb's concerns as valid instead of dismissing his anxiety as easily overcome. The instructor could say, your feelings of stress and anxiety are certainly valid, as I know how important baseball is to you. Or, I respect the fact that you are worried about your teammates too when you have enough to deal with already. Finally, the instructor could have worked with the baseball coach to help and support Caleb with his schoolwork and stress instead of approaching the coach with reasons to punish him. The instructor could offer a solution like, "Caleb, why don't you and I schedule a time to sit down with your baseball coach and discuss how we can help you with your schoolwork so that it doesn't impact your ability to play." The next strategy involves the classroom environment, since we have learned that instructor relationships must be accompanied by a supportive culture if students are to succeed. A welcoming environment starts from the time a student enters the classroom to the moment they leave, whether that's all day in an elementary classroom or after a 90-minute block in high school. The entire time a student is in your classroom, the environment should exude respect, safety, and belonging. This can be accomplished with a greeting at the door, the posting of student work, or the acknowledgement of someone modeling respectful behavior. Intentionally embed opportunities for interaction into your lesson plans so students can collaborate with others, practice social skills, and contribute to building the positive culture. As you watch the following video clip, look for examples of how the teachers created a welcoming environment and which of these strategies you could use in your classroom.
Anything else special happened this weekend, friends?
In the pool, I did a cannonball. I know how to swim. You know how to swim? I know how to blow bubbles underwater.
You
Me
do?
too.
As human beings, one of the most essential needs we have is the need to belong. In school, children need a sense of belonging to be able to be productive learners. They need to be connected to their fellow students, connected to their teachers, to also be affirmed in who they are in a way that is positive and accepting.
I don't take swimming lessons.
In a belonging classroom, there's a community being explicitly built. The teacher knows each child and things about each of those children that they can mention and draw on.
I pay attention, I listen. I'm really invested in what they tell me. The students feeling loved, students feeling nurtured, students feeling like they have a place at school, they're safe. It activates their brain cells.
What side were you?
Sense of belonging is one of the most important activators of a child's engagement in learning. Everything about activating a child's cognitive skills begins with activating their social connectedness. The energy for learning is coming from the social connection that children have.
But in the end, we're trying to come up with an agreement.
Excellent.
We're not going to comment, question. We're only going to encourage. Because they're culturally and linguistically diverse students, I want to really make sure that we are making them feel connections. All the writing we do in our class, it's very much about them. It helps them, promotes them to find their own voice and to share their stories.
Sometimes people think every Muslim person is a target or is a terrorist.
Thank you, Anissa.
What did this show us about what we are good at as a group?
Working together, because we often argue a lot.
Today, we did an activity that was really designed to get them thinking about how they're going to support each other. I think that reiterating the idea that we're in this together, I think it's hard to find the time, but doing some team building exercises at the beginning of the year and revisiting them can really help illustrate that point.
In a belonging classroom, they have a community that may meet in classroom meetings to problem solve together, to read stories together, to tell successes and accomplishments or important events together. They celebrate like families do. Things that each other have done or have experienced.
Let's talk about what we admire about some of our friends.
I admire Jazara because she is so compassionate.
And when we're talking about being compassionate and being supportive of one another, it's to build that deeper connection for everyone, just to feel like this is their school family, this is somewhere they're loved, they're nurtured, they're taken care of, they're valued.
Thank you for speaking.
The community becomes a place where you can bring your emotions, your fears, your needs. You can be honest about what's going on, and know that there will be acceptance, support, and love that's available to carry you through.
We all can work together and we all can try to strategize together and create a better pathway for others to be successful. And we can make it fun.
They're working together. They take care of each other, not just personally, but academically.
We're always pushing each other.
How did these teachers create a welcoming environment? You saw greetings at the door, asking questions about their weekend, team building exercises, group activities and discussions, work related to students' lives, and celebrating successes. Any of these ideas can be modified for the age or grade level that you teach. A middle school student loves that you know they played in a football game over the weekend and then asked how it went as a greeting at the door. A high school student will be more engaged with a work assignment that is relatable and relevant to their own life. All students want to celebrate success, whether it's recognizing sight words or being accepted to a trade school. Remember that love and belonging are the second level of Maslow's hierarchy, making them essential foundational pieces for reaching higher level needs. Classroom environment also includes the physical space. Again, students need to feel safe, valued, and appreciated, all of which can also be accomplished in the space itself. Students need to have room to work in a clutter-free area in order to feel safe moving around or accessing materials. Spaces that allow for different learning styles suggests respect for how students work and learn most effectively. Minimizing distractions and making the room and walls visually appealing show care and concern for students' academic success by eliminating anything that might cause them to get off task and by showcasing positive messages and exemplary student work. And finally, instituting safe places demonstrates empathy for students who may experience distress or frustration while in class and therefore need a place to calm down and regroup. Let's apply what you've learned to another real-world scenario. Today is Carolyn's first day in your class. She is new to the school and has not spoken to you or anyone since she entered the room. Her clothes are disheveled and she has no backpack. You ask her to take out a pencil, but she says she does not have one. You sternly tell her that rule number 1 in class is to be prepared, and she is being given a warning not to come to class without one tomorrow. You walk away and hear students making fun of her clothes and asking if her mom works at the thrift store. As class proceeds, Carolyn puts her head down and does not participate. You say that she needs to pay attention and do the work or you will be calling her parents tonight. Carolyn says, "Whatever," and storms out the door. How could this instructor have handled this differently to better support Carolyn's academic and social-emotional success? The instructor handled this scenario poorly if the goal is to help Carolyn find academic and social-emotional success. Some alternative approaches could be 1. Welcome Carolyn to class. If this is her first day, she likely does not know anyone, including you, so make her first experience positive and friendly. 2. Take notice of Carolyn's appearance and lack of supplies as a sign that something else might be going on in her life. After school, ask questions of the administration, review her student file, and speak with her other teachers to see if anyone knows more about her home life or why she moved. Number 3. Enforcing rules is important to classroom management, but again, keep the first day's experience a positive one for Carolyn by giving her a pencil and letting her know that the two of you will discuss class expectations tomorrow. You could also establish a place in the classroom for borrowing supplies should students need something. For now, you just want her to be able to participate in class. Number 4. Building a relationship with Carolyn is essential, and attempts at that are not evident in this scenario, so it's not surprising that Carolyn took a fight or flight mentality. The instructor did nothing to address the students that were making fun of her and immediately took the approach of attack when Carolyn wasn't paying attention or working. Taking time to get to know Carolyn would eventually help her motivation and engagement. Finally, the last strategy for building relationships and a positive culture is to continually foster open communication and trust by letting students know you are there for them should they need to talk and when they do, that you actively listen to their concerns. Share life experiences when appropriate to demonstrate empathy and understanding. This builds trust and acceptance. Demonstrate reliability and consistency, as you may be the only adult in their life with whom they can count on for that, and do so by following through on commitments and expectations. Let's apply what you've learned to one more real-world scenario. Marcus confides in you that he is struggling to read the same texts as his friends. The words appear jumbled on the page, and some peers tease him when he tries to read out loud in class. Marcus is worried about testing that is coming up because he doesn't want to fail and have his parents mad at him. You promise to speak with a counselor after school to see how they can help Marcus and assure him that additional help will be available prior to testing. A week later, you have not spoken with the counselor, and Marcus overhears you speaking to other teachers in the cafeteria about how you are not surprised that he can't read. You notice Marcus jump up and leave the cafeteria in tears. How could this instructor have handled this differently to better support Marcus's academic and social-emotional success? The instructor could have handled this situation better if the goal was to support Marcus's academic and social-emotional success. Some alternative approaches could be: number 1, show respect by recognizing Marcus's courage for sharing this struggle with you. For example, the instructor could say, "Marcus, I appreciate you sharing this concern with me. I am proud of you for seeking help when you have a problem." That shows self-awareness and maturity. Number 2, keep your commitments. If you offered to speak to a counselor that afternoon, then follow through on that commitment. Do not offer help to a student and then not deliver. That breaks trust and makes you seem unreliable. Number 3, if a student shares a concern with you, which demonstrates a positive relationship, then do not betray their trust by sharing their confidences with others. Not only did this instructor do just that, but they did so in a public space where other adults and students could hear, and finally did so in a derogatory way, thus invalidating the student's feelings and concerns. This again breaks trust, devalues the student, and destroys any good relationship the instructor might have had with Marcus. In this module, we have learned much about building relationships and classroom culture for student success. Let's recap the highlights. Building student relationships is essential to improving academic and social-emotional skills, such as engagement, motivation, self-esteem, and a sense of belonging. In order to be successful, though, students must first have their basic needs met, which include shelter, food, love, and belonging. Strategies for building relationships and a positive classroom environment is to intentionally get to know students, show genuine care and concern for their well-being, establish a welcoming environment, which includes the physical space, and foster open communication and trust. By taking time to implement these strategies, instructors are committing to students and their overall success. We hope you enjoyed this module on building relationships with students. Please complete the Check for Understanding, or CFU, and the survey included in the Google Classroom. Thank you, and we look forward to providing continued support for your professional growth at University Instructors.